Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're doing amazing. And I miss you. And I wanted to come and pop by to say that I love you and that I miss you and kind of give a life update because uh, so much of just everything that's happened and everything that I do has been inspired and by you guys and have been the backbone of all of my work. And so also, I've gotten a lot of questions as to like my recent post and where I'm at mentally, or emotionally, spiritually, and honestly, I feel like I'm in a really good place. I feel like we're in a place that, in some ways, has never been better. That's not to say that things may not become more tumultuous as we're seeing a lot of the state of the world unfold, but also I feel like it will not be as all-consuming as it perhaps has been prior, and so I've also gotten questions as to what I'm doing and whether I will continue to pursue a lot of my spiritual work. And I can feel that maybe some are wondering as to whether my focus has shifted. And the short answer is no, obviously not. In the same respect, I think we're at a time where a lot of what we've overcome, what we've integrated, what we've transcended, what we've healed, uh, is really coming together in a way that is much more materially applicable. So, something that I'm happy to say is that I'm no longer so much in an exalted state of exuberance or upset, um, one way or another. And so, I think that within of itself, uh, and I say that because people have asked me if a lot of my views have shifted, and I would just say not as much, or rather not to the degree in which I feel some might perceive that it has, but rather that they're just not as charged. And as it pertains to what I was saying as to whether a lot of my spiritual work and that stuff has changed or shifted, no. And I think we're in a place where I think we can get lost in, especially the spiritual community, and all of us as we just kind of grow and evolve in this journey of the human experience. It's very easy to get very idealistic, which I think in a lot of ways can be almost luciferic in the sense that it's not grounded in reality. And so the reason I say that is because I feel really, really good about what's happening, and we're putting together so much of what we've overcome in a more material way. And so it's almost as if all of that work and all of those things, spiritual work, because I know I'm also contextually speaking about material work, is now in a way that can be applied more contextually speaking in a material basis. Not to mention that we've always talked about a new earth and the awakening experience and all these other things. Um, and now we're actually, I think, at a place where we're doing it and where it's needed. But it also means going back into somewhat of a break. Well, no, break even wouldn't be the right term, but applying these concepts into a materially applicable way that can translate into real help and benefit and results for this time now, right? And what that looks like for the time that we're in and that time now. And so a lot of it not only is it merging passions and just the best of the world as I knew it prior to awakening, quote unquote, um, but also in a way that is now ready to be so much more impactful and healing and consequential and just good for every party involved, for myself, the and now from hindsight I'm also seeing why things didn't work out before. And I mean, if they had worked out in such an inverted place, there would be a lot more questions, right? And so a lot of that work is simply just being applied in a much more practical embodiment of appropriate for I think a time and place that we're in right now. So with that said, um, I'm really excited for, like I said, this time, the future for all of us. I love you guys. Um, you know that, and I can feel that. I almost like weary somewhat factions or fractals of making sense of what so much of what people's actions mean, and all of these things. And I would just say that because we're coming to a more wholesome place, and more whole, like literally whole, things that are attached to the shadow aspects of whether it be coping mechanisms, or the world as we lived prior, are going to be weary. But I think it's also important to think about that as a possible sign of just letting go of that kind of dissonance, coming to a more whole place. And by de facto, things that were exalted in fragmentation in one way or another, that are no longer as exalted, might begin to produce somewhat of a dissonance, or a questioning, and that's okay. You should question everyone's motives, and all of that, but also be mindful that it could be a good thing, and it could be that we are coming more into the wholeness and betterment and empowerment of ourselves, and rather, if anything's being pushed away from us or moved away from us, it may be the parts that no longer serve us, the shadows attached to those things and those parts, and the dissonance, fragmentation, and divisiveness of that. And that is, I think, ultimately can be a sign of becoming whole, more so experiencing wholeness, I should say. I think being much more of a central column orientation, and notwithstanding, I think a lot of you guys probably realized that was happening or watched it happening. I don't think that's that big of a shocker, that I'm less new agey and much more classical in my understanding and interpretation of Jesus and the Bible and even religion, and that's a whole nother video. But with that said, not to worship religion any more than a corporation, but you guys get what I mean. So I love you guys, all my love your way, and I can't wait to be on live with you guys soon. Talk soon. Love you guys. Bye.